The Tim Heale Podcasts. Ordinary people's extraordinary stories.
We'll start some chat going and let's get that out of the way. And then we'll see if we can bring in Harry at some stage. Have you had a chance to listen to Harry's?
Yes.
We recorded another one this week.
What, with Harry?
So, yeah.
All right.
Part 2. And that'll come out next Sunday. So this Sunday we had Paul Taylor.
Yeah, I've not had a chance to listen to Paul yet.
So Paul went out this morning.
Yeah, I've listened to that. It's good.
Yeah.
It's interesting. A lot of it I already knew. But some of the details I didn't know.
Yeah, I thought it was a really good chat. He came across really well.
Yeah.
So I've got Harry to go out next week, part 2. We still haven't got all the way there yet. We've still got another one to do after that. So we're going to look at doing his cruising lifestyle. So he's been off on quite a few cruises. So he's got some really funny stories about cruising. So it's, yeah. So they got into cruising quite a few years ago, as did I. I mean, I started cruising, I don't know, must be getting on for 30 years ago. When Sarge and I went cruising. Yeah, been on some fabulous cruises. And anybody that's not been on a cruise, I thoroughly recommend it.
Yeah.
It's something that because you're off at a different port most different days, and you're cruising overnight, you get out. The bit I like is getting dressed up to go to dinner, and then going to a show afterwards. And people pay hundreds of thousands of pounds to do that. I mean, you look at going to the theatre in London. I think the cheaper tickets are about £100.
Yeah.
And then you get that every night on board ship.
Yeah.
The average cost is around about £100 a day, all in. That's your accommodation, your food, and the entertainment.
Yeah.
So you can't fault that, can you?
Now, we did a mini cruise a few years back. When my mum was alive, she treated us to this mini cruise. It was like a 4 or 5 day thing. Went out from Southampton on I think it was the Black Watch, one of the Olsen ships.
One of my favourite ships, Black Watch.
Black Watch, yeah. And it went up to Honfleur and then Amsterdam and then back again. So we had about 2 or 3 nights actually. And that was excellent, as you say. Fantastic food. There's literally food all the time. You can help yourself to, buffets and all sorts of things. And then the big dinner in the evening. And then the entertainment, all the dancing and everything. And you spot that the dancers are actually the same people that were serving your food earlier, and they're the same people that clean your rooms. So they're kind of multi-talented people.
Yeah, so, Fred Olsen is my favourite cruise line. I've been on lots of others. I've been on P&O's, I've been on Royal Caribbean. I wasn't keen on Royal Caribbean, if I'm honest. The ships are really large, and the problem is that you get a lot of Americans on them, and they really don't know how to dress. You know, honest, they don't. It says black tie, so they've got a black tie on and shorts.
Oh, dear. Oh, dear. Yeah.
They're clueless.
Yeah.
Absolutely clueless.
Yeah.
But Fred Olsen
Yeah.
have been my favourite for years. They're smaller ships.
Yeah.
They got sort of 400 or 500 passengers. I mean, the slightly bigger one, the Boudica, or Boadicea as I like to call it, because that's what it was when I was a kid. She was Boadicea, not Boudica.
Yeah.
She takes about 700.
Yeah.
But they go into the smaller ports where the big ships don't go. you go on a big ship and they all kind of go into the same places.
Mm-hmm.
And the problem is, you get 2 or 3 big ships, we saw 2,000-3,000 passengers on, all descending on a small port. I mean, like Venice. We went to Venice one time, and there was 3 large cruise ships in. We were on, I think we're on one of P&O's, and then there was a Royal Caribbean came in, and I think there was an MSC. So we've got 3 big ships. You couldn't move in Venice. It was a waste of time going into the port and getting off the ship.
We've been in
Absolute
Venice.
waste of time. There's just
We've been in Venice on holiday for a long weekend, and when the cruise ships come in, you might as well just scrap them because you can't move, as you say. They all make for the same places.
Yeah, Cartagena's the same. Cartagena, we had 2 ships coming in at once, and it's pointless going up to town.
Yeah.
Although, to be fair, there are some shops that only open when the ships are in.
Yeah. You get a mixture of
so
people.
it's-
Some are for it and some are against it, aren't you? Because these big cruise lines, they're even going up to Orkney now, and I've got a few family up there, and half of the island there welcome them because it's good business for them, but the other half hate it because they just get in the way, and it's a double-edged sword, really.
Yeah.
Yeah, you just don't know. I mean, it is difficult because, especially if you go on the tours as well, and they got all the big ships in. You've paid quite a bit of money to go on a tour to somewhere, and you turn up, and there's a sort of couple of dozen coaches from all these ships, all descending on a small museum or something like that. So that then becomes, and it spoils the holiday. I mean, we've even been in ports where we've seen the other ships in and decided, because we were doing our own thing, we wouldn't actually bother going ashore that particular day, and just spend the day on the ship doing reading or just enjoying the ship itself.
Yeah.
When it's a little bit quieter with lots of people milling about.
Yeah. Have you watched that Jane MacDonald programme? Jane MacDonald goes cruise.
Yeah, we've been watching that.
Yeah, I mean she's really good actually. I mean she goes all different kinds of cruises, and she used to be a singer on the cruise ships, didn't she? That's how she sort of came to fame. I think she did some sort of a show or something when she got noticed. But she's now this presenter on this Jane MacDonald Goes Cruising or something, and all over the world, all different sized ships, interesting ones. There was one that she did up in the West Highland of Scotland, Tim, the area that you were last year, and it was a tiny little boat. It only had about 6 or 8 cabins in it. It was like a converted fishing boat, but it was effectively a cruiser. And you do a week on that, and you go around those West Highland islands. That looked absolutely fantastic. In fact, we looked it up afterwards. It was quite expensive, but when you look at the peace and solitude that you get, it's probably well worth it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I saw that one as well. That's a really good cruise to go on.
Yeah.
For being a low key type job, not hundreds of people.
Yeah.
It looked really nice.
Yeah, it's not a luxury cruise. There's no swimming pools or health spas or cinemas or anything. You get a bit of a cabin, and I can't remember if you had your own heads or not, but you're very, very close up with the other passengers. But it looked absolutely fantastic. Yeah.
But the river cruises look good as well. And we went on one just to have a look round when we was on the canals.
Yeah.
And they are quite sunny.
Yes. Yeah.
The river cruises.
Yeah, we saw a couple of those that she did as well on that programme, river cruises.
Yeah, going down the Rhine and the Danube.
Yeah, we saw this. The Seine, obviously, the Rhone and the Saône. We went down as well, and I think it was the Saône we saw them on.
Yeah,
Yeah.
lots of the big rippers in France have them as well. Well, all over Europe, really.
Yeah.
We went on Mary one time, just on one of these infill cruises where they just go for a couple of days. We were on there for 3 days, and we went to Hamburg. We had a day in Hamburg, so it's sort of an overnight up to Hamburg, into Hamburg, a day in Hamburg, and then come back, and then a night coming back. So we were away for 3 days effectively. And they do these just to infill between cruises. They're just an infill.
Yeah, the first one I did, I was probably only about 18. It was at one of these booze cruises that goes out from somewhere east of London. I can't remember where it went from, but we ended up in Denmark overnight, and it was just an overnighter. And I don't remember much of it because you just started drinking as soon as you got on the boat, and you were drinking when you got off. It was
That used to be Harry's to Esberg.
It was, yeah.
That was the old Harry's
Yeah.
Edgeburg.
Yeah,
See if I can
yeah.
get hold of Harry. See if Harry's trying to get in, but he can't. Hello, Harry.
Hello, Harry. Hello, Tim. Hello, Harry. I can hear you, I just can't get in.
Yeah, I don't know why. So
Oh.
it's still showing that you was on mute, and it's got this user computer is not allowing Riverside to record. Please make sure they refresh the page to continue recording.
Right.
That's the message that I've got. So you might
I'm
need to.
getting you in half a second mode behind you.
Yeah.
I'm here.
So try refreshing the app
Yeah, I'm just doing that now.
and see what happens then. So we just we got Steve and Stewart, and we're just talking about cruising.
All right.
So I thought this sounds like something for Harry to jump in on.
Yes, we've done a few. Just a few.
So
Oh, so, no, that's still not working.
he's having none of it. Well, I think you can join in the conversation anyway. I think it's probably recording, but I'm not 100%
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah, I can hear it recorded. It's coming through me ear now.
Yeah.
Got the earphones in. Oh no, still no. I just don't want
No.
to play, mate.
Sounds like you've got a crowd there again.
Yes.
Rent a
yes.
mob.
Rent a mob. Yeah. No.
Oh,
All right. Well, I'm being told that I need to plug it into the router at the bottom of the stairs. Then it might work. So it's good on the Wi-Fi. Oh, all right. Give me 5 minutes and I'll get back to you.
all right.
All right.
We'll,
See you in a while.
we'll stand by.
All right. Bye.
Cheers, Harry.
Yeah, we were talking about doing a Christmas cruise, weren't we, to Honfleur or something like that. But then the pandemic kicked in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that would be a good crack, wouldn't it? If we could all get together for a Christmas cruise.
That is
For a
fun, I'll
Christmas
tell you.
cruise.
Because they really pushed the boat out.
Yeah. Literally. Yeah.
Pun intended. Yeah, so the reason that they do those infills, I mean, lots of the ships are sort of stuck down in the Caribbean and that over the Christmas period, and they lay on over there. But the ships that are back here, then they lay on specials for Christmas and New Year.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's just sort of a way of infilling before they start the season again.
Yeah. Yeah.
No, if something comes up, I guess they'd get booked up pretty quick as well, though.
It would, yeah. Yeah. Especially in the
I
current
think
climate.
it's the industry that's been hit the worst of all. I think is the cruising industry, because they've stopped cruising totally right across the world.
Yeah.
And you just have a look on have a look along the south coast of England. The amount of cruise ships that are just at anchor on minimal staff, and they're just in what they call hot layup as opposed to cold layup. When they've sold lots of ships off to for scrap during this pandemic.
Yeah.
It's just it's just awful.
Yeah, the travel industry has been hit really hard because it's you don't know if you can travel. We've been bumping our American trip since last year. We bumped it twice, and we're currently booked to go out the first couple of weeks in June, but we don't think that's going to happen. It would be great if it does. In fact, we booked our accommodation day before yesterday. We booked a cottage through Airbnb, and the only reason I booked it was because I can get all my money back if we cancel 3 days out. So a bit more than 3 days actually. It's about a week and a half out, but that's plenty. I'll know whether we're going by then or not. But I wouldn't have booked it if it wasn't absolutely, rock solid protected that I'm going to get my money back if we can't go. I think Airbnb are quite good like that.
Yeah, I suppose I've never actually used Airbnb myself, but there again, we haven't been away that much.
I don't think I've ever used it
on the boat.
I don't think I've ever used it. I've looked quite a few times on it, and I've ended up going in a hotel because it is quite expensive, or it can be quite expensive. But it's good for comparing prices. But this particular holiday, we just thought, sod it, we'll just get ourselves somewhere nice, and it's on the edge of the inland waterway, out in the wild sort of thing. So it should be quite peaceful.
We used it and it was quite good. It was when we lifted the boat in Barcelona, year before last, we used Airbnb, and it was just a room in someone's flat.
Right.
But it was actually quite good, and he was a sailor as well, so we got some good advice from him and his son. They had 2 or 3 boats which they rent out.
Yeah.
And it was actually a useful experience. Not sure that I'd do it again in someone's flat. I'd rather have our own self-contained place.
Yeah.
But it was cheap.
Yeah, we're not keen on sharing a room in somebody's house. You want a bit more freedom, really, don't you? A bit more space, a bit more freedom.
Yeah, but this was close. This was just close enough to where we were that it just made a bit of sense, really.
Yeah.
We could walk to the boat in 5 minutes.
Yeah.
And you have you had that flat last year, didn't you, when you was having all that work done?
It wasn't Airbnb in the end, no. I think I found them on Airbnb and I contacted them because what I wanted to do was, I didn't want to book it through Airbnb because the prices are still quite high, and we wanted it for quite a long period of time. With Airbnb, you usually get a bit of a discount if you book for more than a week, but we wanted it for, initially for 5 weeks. So I wanted to speak to the owners and really strike up a good deal. So in the end, I contacted them and I got a response, and I just dealt with them outside of Airbnb, and we were there for about 9 weeks in the end. So and they honoured the rate they gave us. We got about 50% discount off them, so it was really good. Yeah.
That's a right real result then.
Yeah, it is. It was a good result. That would have been.
No, because Pete and Joe do quite well out of theirs, don't they? I mean, they've got that self-contained annex at the bottom of their garden,
Right.
which they Airbnb, and they do seem to do quite well with that.
Yeah. Yeah.
So the other way that I've done it is when I went away with Brad year before last on the motorbikes across Europe, we were booking up on the day or the day before, not Airbnbs but using booking.com and just booking hotels in the sort of places we were heading for, which worked out really well for us. So that's another way of doing it. And I suppose we could have found some Airbnbs at the same time.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it just seemed the easiest way, particularly since we were just the two of us on motorbikes. It was just easy to sort of stop off in a McDonald's or something like that, use the free Wi-Fi, jump on the phones and look for somewhere where we were heading for, to find a hotel or a bed and breakfast where we could get in. And we didn't have, we didn't actually not find anywhere. A couple of times, it took a couple of times to sort of a couple of places to look at before we got the place that we wanted to. However, it was simple and straightforward. So we're hoping to do a battlefield tour down to Spain later this year on the motorbikes. Just jump on the bikes around to Portsmouth, get a boat down to Santander or Bilbao, and then go down, do the Peninsula Wars down into sort of Portugal and places like Talavera, Salamanca, Badajoz, Porto, obviously. So we'll probably.
That was a big battle, wasn't it, Porto?
What's that?
That was a big battle, wasn't it, at Porto?
Yeah, there was a lot went on there. It almost changed hands, but it didn't in Porto. Fortunately, it didn't, because if it had have done, we wouldn't have had all that port to keep the troops going.
Yeah.
Yes, I think the French made a big mistake with that one.
So you think you'll get down there this year, do you, Tim?
Well, we're looking at possibly doing it in September, once the kids have gone back to school and the weather's still reasonable and it's just starting to cool down a little bit.
Yeah.
We don't want to go down there in the height of summer on motorbikes wearing leathers. It's just unbearable. But so mid to late September would be ideal time to go down where you've still got some nice warm weather, be able to ride the motorbikes around. They've got some great roads down there, and just go and visit some of the battlefield tours, some of the battle sites from the Peninsula Wars, which would be good fun. But if not, we might do it just next spring. Just see how we get on.
If I had a bike, I'd come with you. That would be a laugh.
So what else we got?
It's a nice sign of Harry then. So is Brad going to be able to get the time off now he's working?
I don't know. I think he's still looking at having the 3 weeks in the summer, but we'll have to wait and see on that one. Oh, looks like Harry's having another go at coming back in.
We're all going to be meeting up at the Isles of Scilly, aren't we?
Yeah, hoping to. All being well, get the weather gods on side. We'll have a bit of nice easterly, northeasterly, and we'll get a cruising shoot out and we'll try and blast down there in one hit, and then just relax when we're down there and see how it goes. That's the plan.
Yeah.
Whether it works or not is something else.
Yeah.
But I mean, if we start with sort of southwesterlies or something like that, maybe just bimble down there.
Port hop.
Tide hop more than
Tide hop. Yeah.
that. Is try and sort of
That's what we'll do.
because you work it right. You about 8 hours of fair tide. So you leave about 2 hours before the tide is due to turn. So you've got an hour of punching sort of the waning tide, and then you've got 6 full hours of tide before it goes slack and starts coming back at you.
Yeah.
So it gives you effectively about 8 hours of reasonable tide to sort of to get somewhere. Any more on your boat coming back, Steve?
Not at the moment. No, it's a waiting game. It's really a waiting game.
Yeah.
To see how everything pans out.
Do you know if they've got capacity?
They haven't said they haven't. It's really a matter of For me at the moment, it's just seeing how the governments go in the ability for us to get down there in the first place. It's no good planning anything if you can't get down there.
Yeah, yeah.
Do you watch Spain Speaks? Stewart on Spain Speaks?
Nah.
He gives still doing a daily update on the situation in Spain, which is quite useful. So he covers sort of the whole of Spain, Cartagena, where's locking down, where isn't locking down, who's easing the restrictions and stuff like that. So it might be worth tuning into him on YouTube.
Yeah. Yeah, I'll try and remember that one.
But he's been quite a good source of information over the last year. But it's well over a year now. Hopefully getting the prayer mats out, and they're going to sort of ease the restrictions on being able to go inside the pub. It's all well and good saying, well, you can have a pint outside in a garden, but there's an awful lot of pubs that ain't got beer gardens.
There's an awful lot that haven't are not going to open as well.
Not going to open anyway.
I've seen I'm on the Gosport page, Gosport Beer Club page. There's a lot of pubs aren't going to open. They don't think it's worth their while. There's so many restrictions coming in from the council. They're not going to bother until they can fully open.
Yeah.
So the Filing Cocks is one of them.
I suppose they've also got to stock up their cellars, and they need to be sure they're going to get trade in. Otherwise, all that beer's just going to go off, isn't it? They've got to be able to sell it.
Yeah, yeah. But I know Paul is planning quite a big pub crawl on Friday, so we'll do the club.
It's going to be a crawl.
But then he was going to do the Filing Cocks, and then he's going to do Elverbank, Cuckoo Pint, and going back that way.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, the thing is, I was talking to Paul. I was talking to Paul last week. Him and Carol were cycling past our house when we were out the front painting our gate, and we stopped to have quite a long chat with them. And I was saying to him, I've not really been drinking heavy. I haven't drunk heavily for well over a year. I have a couple of glasses of wine, or maybe a beer and some wine, and that's it. The odd glass of scotch in the evening, but I've not had a Beano, so got to be careful. Could end up getting very messy if you don't watch it.
Well, I think I'll be all right. The amount of rum that I've drunk been in lockdown. I need to go to the pub just to.
Yeah, we've kept the practice up.
Cycle. I've gone through an awful lot of rum in the last 12 months. Probably more than I would if the pubs had been open.
There should be a laugh on Friday if we can all get down there. It's I don't know what the weather's going to be like. It's been pretty cold.
It's not looking.
It's improving, isn't it?
Is it cold?
Yeah.
Is it?
Yeah, it's looking like it's improving.
Yeah.
Well, we're hoping to do a bit of sailing this week. I've got got to take the BMW into Snows on Tuesday for a recall on they've got to replace a wire or something on the air conditioning or the fans or something.
Yeah.
And then we can go off and do a bit of sailing. And then, like you say, Friday, we're hoping to get down and have a beer in the garden.
Yeah.
So, but it doesn't make a lot of sense when you look at it. That you can go into a non-essential shop, but you can't go inside a pub or a restaurant.
Yeah.
The trouble is, when people start drinking, they lose their inhibitions and they forget that actually you are still only supposed to get together in a group of 6 people, and you're not supposed to go wandering around the pub and talking to people and stuff like that. And that's the trouble. They're putting a lot of trust in us, I think.
Well, you're going to do that in the garden anyway, aren't you?
Well, you shouldn't do. You shouldn't do.
You shouldn't
do.
I mean, I feel sorry for the pubs that have spent thousands and thousands on these sort of distancing measures. They put all these screens, separated all the tables out, so they're taking half the amount of people that they can actually get into their pub, and they're not allowed to do anything. It's just, I don't know, it's just wrong. I think that what they should do is let people make their own decisions on what they want to do. They reckon that 99% of people that are vulnerable have had the jabs. I think they should just open us up, let people make their own decisions. If people are still scared about going out, they don't have to. They're not going to be forced to go out, are they? And let people that want to go and get on with their lives, get on with them.
The trouble is, I don't think the emergency services will be able to cope when suddenly you get a massive spike of people. They just won't be able to cope. I mean, they're
Well, what's the point?
I think it's more likely they can't cope with a massive surge in drunks, because it will be. I mean, I can imagine Friday's going to be a real humdinger.
Yeah.
With people hitting the beer. And if they actually get into the pubs as well, it will become, the first Friday night is going to be a hell of a night.
Yeah.
But they've got to unlock sooner or later, or they're just going to keep us in perpetual. If they're so worried about the NHS being overwhelmed by the amount of cases that they get, why did we actually bother having this bloody jab? What was the point in it if it's not going to work, if it's not going to prevent people from getting it?
Well, it is working, isn't it? I mean, you can see in the figures it's working. It's the right thing to do. But it's not guaranteed to be 100% protection, and certainly the young people, they don't even know if they've got it or not. They've got no symptoms, so they can go around happily spreading it around all over the place, and they don't even know they're doing it.
Well, it's not that bad of a disease then, if you can have it without knowing you've got it. Yeah. They reckon that 1 in 3 people that have got it don't know they've had it.
That's right.
So yeah, it's and all of the really vulnerable people that are going to die from it have probably done it.
Yeah, I suppose it also depends on whether you get one of these variant come in. If you get another variant come in, like the South African one or something like that, who knows whether that vaccination will protect you against it? You know,
will stop people coming into the country. They want to start down at Dover first. Stop. They're still bringing them in. Have you seen the latest? They're still picking them up in the channel and bringing them in. Why can they not pick them up and take them back to France?
Yeah.
The French Navy are actually escorting them into the channel. Why can't they pick them up and take them back? We paid the French billions to assist with this situation, and they're still escorting them. Why are they escorting them into the middle of the channel? For Border Force to pick them up and bring them in.
Yeah.
It really grips. It's not funny, it's not clever, and I think you'll find that the vast majority of people in this country feel the same. And all they're doing is they're holding up bona fide asylum seekers. They're short-circuiting the system. They're coming in because they're having to deal with them. People that are applying, genuine asylum seekers, are just getting pushed down the pile all the time. That's the real issue there, is because they're having to deal with all these that are coming in. The ones that are applying where they should apply are just getting pushed to the bottom of the pile all the time.
Well, the thing is,
and that's not fair.
I've read an article on this week actually, that a lot of these asylum seekers, they haven't got the luxury of being able to gather all their papers together and then start filling in forms and applying. They literally have to get out of their house and run, and they're literally getting out of that country by whatever way they can, and with no possessions at all. You know, so when they arrive in a country, they can't prove who they are. They haven't got a passport or any documents or anything, because they're about to leave it all behind. You know, it's not easy for them. And it's a very hard job differentiating those that are genuine against those that aren't.
Yeah, but the vast majority are young fighting age males that are coming here as economic migrants. If the genuine asylum seekers are probably the ones that have got a family with them. You work it out. If you're fleeing from tyranny, you're going to bring your whole family. You're going to bring your wife. You're going to bring your kids. You're not going to leave them behind to save your own skin. So I reckon all these young fighting age males are either cowards or they are just economic migrants looking for a soft touch somewhere else. I mean, they're coming in via Greece, they're coming in via Italy, they're transiting halfway across Europe, which is every country in Europe is a safe country, to come to cross the channel, to put their lives in danger in small boats to cross the channel to come here. I mean, international law says that people fleeing a war-torn country apply for asylum in the first safe country they come to. It doesn't say you have to cross half of Europe to come to the UK.
Yeah, I don't know what the answer is.
Yep.
I mean, we're not the only ones who've got a problem. I mean, you go to Scandinavia and look at the issues that they're having up there. There are vast parts of Sweden that have opened their arms to migrants, and now they're having real ghetto problems. They're having real crime waves. There's raping and pillaging and all sorts going on up there. And then you've got countries like Poland and Hungary that won't take them in. Won't take any at all. And the EU are trying to force a hand, and consequently the EU are cutting them off. They're cutting those countries off. I mean, Poland and particularly Hungary have put borders up and said they're not crossing our borders. And the EU said, well, we're not paying you any more money. So there's a lot of, and they're vetoing them. So they're having proper dramas down there.
Again, I don't blame the asylum seekers one little bit, because if you're in that situation, you don't know what their situation's like, but I mean, you can only imagine it's hell, and they're just trying to escape to somewhere a bit safer. But it's the governments and the politicians that need to sort it out, and think big institutions like the EU need to sort it out, come up with something that's going to work, instead of just putting it onto the next country and ducking the issue.
Well, I think, I mean, what I find difficult is a lot of these guys are coming from Islamic countries that are safe. I mean, they're not war-torn or anything like that. They're just living under Islamic law, Sharia law and stuff like that, and they're leaving. And then they're coming to Christian countries, and then they're complaining that they want to live an Islamic lifestyle. But that's what they fled in the first place. I don't get their thinking or their mentality on that one. Why would you want to come to a Christian country knowing that we drink and women don't cover up their heads and all the rest of it, and then you want to come to a country like that and then want to try and change it? Why is that?
Yeah. Yeah.
Funny old game, isn't it?
Yep. But it looks like your mate Harry's still trying to get in. He keeps appearing and dropping off.
Yeah, I don't know what the problem is there. We've had a look at it. We've been trying since yesterday to try and get him in, but
what's he using? Has he got a PC or an iPad or?
I mean, we tried an iPad, and we could see him, but it won't record off the iPad. But the latest version of this, you can do it off an iPhone. Mm-hmm. They've brought out a beta version to be able to use an iPhone.
Yep.
But as yet I've not been successful in finding anybody that's got an iPhone to do it. But there you go. These things are sent to try us.
Yep.
Technology and all that. So all we can do is just keep at it. So we're going to have a Zoom on Wednesday.
Let me check. Got to check with the boss on that one.
Okay. So we're going to be sailing, but
What she wants to do.
Going to take this stuff with us. So going to be able to see what I can do when I'm sailing.
I've got a feeling that Helen's on a lake, but I'll check that as well. Are you going to set up a floating studio then, Tim?
Pretty much.
Yeah.
Did I show you earlier?
Yeah. No.
Oh, you just came on as I was showing Steve what the setup is. So I've got the where are I? Come this way. I've got the Notepad FX8 or 8FX Soundcraft. Hang on, that's the way to do it. So I've got that hooked up, so I can push that into the Rodecaster. So I've got the Rodecaster there. Oh, that's the Rodecaster all set up. And then I've got a backup on the Tascam. Then I've got the iPad, and we've got some iPad. Let's give it some of that, and then we'll get further that. So I've got the buttons on here.
You must set it up so that noise pops up next time you capture a lobster pot, Tim.
What's that? Yeah. So then I've got several mics I'm using. So I've got a lavalier mic on here. That's my lavalier mic. And then I've got this is my sound Suntronics Podcast Pro, which is that one. I've got another Suntronics up there. And then I've got another one down here. I've got loads of mics.
Yeah. So have you got enough to set up a complete separate setup, or are you going to take your home setup down?
I think what I'll take is the Rodecaster, because I can take phone calls in on that, and the laptop, and the Tascam, because that's small, and obviously the iPad goes with us as well. So I'll be able to do it remotely, because on the boat I've got the Wi-Fi.
Yeah.
So I can use the Wi-Fi on the boat.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
we'll see what we come up with, and then we'll give it some.
You do your own stand-up comedy.
That doesn't make you laugh.
Do your own stand-up comedy routine, and then you can use that as your laughter for all your sad jokes.
Well, we go. So we can have all sorts of fun. So I think what we'll do is we'll wind this one up and then see what we come up with. Well, thanks for tuning in. Well, I hope you enjoyed that little chat that we had, and maybe you got something out of it, maybe you didn't. However, if you liked it, please subscribe, like, press the notifications bell, and share it with your friends. Thanks for tuning in.
The Tim Heale Podcasts. Ordinary people's extraordinary stories.